again for sponsoring our streams and selecting me to be a beta taster. It was an amazing.
Hey, family. Glad to be back with you. Started and didn't even know my mic wasn't on. Okay, it's working. Let me make sure we don't got that weird echo. Nope, we doing good. Clutch. All right, family. So glad to be back with you. I'm still kind of getting my life together. Had my do rag on. I was supposed to start some allergy shots earlier this week. Earlier this week was yesterday. I forgot. I forgot today, only Tuesday. But doing some allergy shots this week. And it's funny because happy Tuesday, Liberty. So it's funny when I went to go get the allergy shots. the nurse is, she giving me the directions to get to whatever room I'm supposed to be sitting in. And once she gets behind me, we walking, and she like, "You have amazing hair." And I'm laughing because you'd be amazed at how many people just stare at my hair and don't say anything. And I'm saying this because I say this, like, you see me coming, you don't really see. But when you see me leaving, you know the waves is spinning. So it don't translate that well on camera, but if you see me in real life, the waves is spinning. You know what? That might be why my friend told me I look better in person than on camera. She like, you look, well, she added a little extra to it, so I ain't know if I need to be salty or what, but she was like, you look way better in person than you do. I was like, damn, I look messed up online? That's terrible. I got to work on my image a little bit. So I be looking thrashed out to make somebody say that. So, family, if this is your first time here with us, I'm glad to have you. And who are we? Well, who am I? I'm Soul Swami. I'm Anthony, better known as Soul Swami for these cases. And what we do here is we discuss all things healing. With our Tuesday night show, we do that in various ways, through homework, through activities, through lessons, through live energy readings. It's just kind of a smorgasbord of healing activity going on here, which leads us into some of the things we're talking about this week. So you can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I've streamlined it down. So I think Liberty, a side note too, I think this weekend when I just went live and did my plant thing, that was kind of my trial run. And I already like the trial run a little bit better. So anyway, long story short, you can catch us on Facebook, Twitch, and the YouTubes. You see clips. I'm on everything, TikTok, but live shows are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Right? Bloom. Thanks for the love. Happy Tuesday. What you making in your room? Woo, it's hot. So generally what we go through here is every week we have a chakra cleansing that we do. So this week we are on our third eye. And the element for that is light. And the color is supposed to be indigo. And as you can tell, this is more purple. It looks just like the crown last week because indigo is a hard color. I got to give me some black lights or something that's going to make it look a little more indigo. But it's still going to look purplish a little bit. So, okay, that's what's up. We're doing some African print belts. Maybe you need to come on live one day and do what is it? This ain't quite how I'm trying to say it, but do a session on how to do your nails and as a matter of fact, you need to go live with yourself when TikTok start banning you like they banned me. But the element for your third eye, which is good for your intuition, your vision, literal and metaphorically, it is your perception and your astral travel. And that is simply the places that you can take your mind, old memories, future thoughts and ideas, all types of things like that. The light is, the element for it is light. If you are into stones, labradite, amethyst, which we have everywhere. I always hold that up too. That's my new little baby. Some solidite. They say purple fluorite works very good for third eye and your intuition and trusting yourself. If you are into aromatherapy, some good scents that'll be good for you are rosemary, cedarwood, and clary sage. It's probably time I need the sage. I want a different energy going on in my life. So we generally start with the little bowl. So I'm going to play the bowl. Today we're going to combine our visualization and our breathing exercise. We are going to do the sun moon cleansing. Since that is a light visualization, it'd be fantastic for us. And then this week we are going to start our conversation where we're going to continue our conversation on quantum shift. We're going to start trying to move into, what is it? The trap of the old timeline. And then the next section is going to be, what is it? Is it rewiring the observer? Yes, rewiring the observer. So we'll start off with talking about a little bit about what the quantum shift is and some of the things that are important in our discussions as far as it relates to healing. And then we'll get into the next video. And that'll probably be the end of the show. We'll have discussions about it next week. So find yourself a comfortable space to relax and let a little sound therapy help you. Take that deep breath, people. Now for our breathing exercise and our visualization. If you've been with us before, you've experienced the sun moon cleansing exercise that we do. If you have not, it's a simple exercise in which you envision or you visualize the sun or the moon above your head. And with every breath in, you bring it down and it does this cleansing thing. But for the time being, all you have to do is just focus, listen to the sound of my voice, focus in on your breathing and visualizing and embodying and incorporating some of the things that you hear me say into your visualization exercise. So once you are comfortable, I want you to start with visualizing the sun or the moon right in that space, a circular light. As a matter of fact, you can make that light any color that resonates with your spirit at this point, but make it in the shape of a circular light resting right in the space that's your crown. And as it's sitting there in your crown, you feel that light clearing your thoughts, clearing your worries, your fears, and giving you clarity. And as you feel that clarity come in, you take a deep breath and you bring that light down to your third eye, which is your intuition. And as it sits there, you feel that light renewing your trust in your intuition, renewing your trust in your vision, giving you clarity on your perception and perspectives and reasonings. And as you feel that light, giving your intuition and third eye the necessary energy, you take that deep breath and you bring that light down to your throat. And as the light resides in your throat, you feel that light giving you an energy of confidence to be able to speak your truth and trust the truth that you have to speak. You feel that energy giving you a confidence to speak what's necessary to your heart. And as you feel that light giving you the confidence, giving you the clarity, giving you the words that you need to communicate, you take a deep breath. And you bring that light down to your heart. And in your heart, you feel that light removing fears and replacing it with the confidence to share and receive love. That light is reminding you that you are valuable, you are loved, you are important, and you deserve to receive and give love. And as that light is healing you, you take a deep breath. And you bring that light down to your solar plexus or your stomach. And as that light resides in your stomach, in your solar plexus, you feel it giving you balance and peace in your emotions and direction. And security in knowing that you have the tools to be able to express your emotions in a healthy way. And as that light heals and provides you with the energy, you take a deep breath. And in that deep breath, you bring that light down to your solar plexus, your sacral, which resides right below your belly button. And in that, you feel your passion being renewed, your passion for life, your passion for love, your passion for experiences, food, travel, all the things that bring peace and joy to your heart. It reignites your passion, and you take a deep breath. And you bring that light down to your root. And in your root, you feel it reconnecting you to the earth and grounding you in your abilities, in your direction, reconnecting you to the plants, the people, the experiences, the weather, the smells, all come rushing closely and quickly back to your mind. Now, as you listen to me, we're going to take breaths and bring that light up. Take a deep breath. Bring the light up to your sacral and release. Take a deep breath. Bring the light up to your solar plexus and release. Take a deep breath and bring the light up to your heart and release. Take a deep breath. Bring the light up to your throat and release. Take a deep breath and bring the light up to your third eye and release. Last one. Bring the light, take a deep breath and bring the light up to your crown. Now, as the light resides there, I want you to repeat these affirmations after me. I trust my intuition. My imagination is powerful. I think clearly. My third eye sees all. I trust my intuition. My imagination is powerful. I think clearly. My third eye sees all. All right, family. We can get these shows started a little bit. Let me see if I can get my life together for a second. Second. Hey, I need to move that down. I can't half see it. There we go. Oh no, your name your name is blending in with the background, Liberty, which is crazy. But the good thing is we still see the words. So, all right, family. Last week we were watching a video. We started watching this video on quantum shift. What's the definition for that quantum shift? Did I look it up? Here we go. Quantum shift is essentially sudden transformative changes, simply put. But for the most part, it's trying to get us to understand how we need to vibrate and reflect the energy of the lifestyle that we want to live, or the life that we feel we deserve to live. Some of the main points that was kind of talked about on the video that I want to spend a little time addressing before we get started on the second part was, oh my God, I'm sorry, y'all. I got so much going on. We're trying to have two computers, and sometimes, oh my God, L-shaped desk be all right, but I got all this space over here, and I don't make use of it enough. That's the truth. So one of the main things that we wanted to understand from this quantum shift, which is based on quantum mechanics. So we like to use real science around here, not just mysticism. One of our purposes is to try to remove the mysticism from the healing process, so it doesn't seem like it's just this magical thing. It does seem like something that you can do, and it's based in science and spirituality and a bunch of other things. But one of the main things that you want to understand, the main prefaces that you want to begin to start thinking or incorporating into your thought process is that life is not linear. It's kind of like you and me. As human beings, we know we don't just grow up. One of my mama's favorite sayings is, when you stop growing up, you start growing out. So life, essentially, moves in the same direction. So there's linear parts of life, and then there are parts of life that are not linear. They go across an east-west plane. We talked about that a lot. We talked about the parallel parts of ourselves that might be going on right beside of us, the existences and the realities that are right there with us several weeks. So we're thinking about this. When you're thinking about quantum shift, first you got to understand that life is not linear. Even though they taught us to think about that, how it's so linear, it's not like that. You can think about it like this. Think about something that happened to you as a kid. Even though you may be an adult now, depending on what happened, you can easily go right back to that moment and have all the feelings, all the smells, all the emotions, all the sights. It can become real to you. That's because life is not linear, right? Life is not linear. You can even see yourself on this same plateau as you changed us on this healing process. We are still the same people. But think about how we're vibrating so differently than we were when we first started this process, right? And when you think about this, one of the things when life is not infinite, when life is not looked at linear, then we start tying it to that idea of infinite possibilities, right? One of the things Christians love to say, I know through Christ, I can do all things through Christ that strengthened me. So even Christianity believes, they understand that possibilities are endless. Scientific, we talk about how the possibilities are endless. So in quantum mechanics and for your life, the energy form that you are, the possibilities are unlimited. The possibilities are unlimited. You can literally be whoever you want to be. Once you align yourself with that energy, that thought process, and that vibrational points, right? Now, how we get here to our life is that even though we have this infinite possibilities, we like to collapse those possibilities down to one. Essentially, that's where we get to our thoughts and our ideas. Once we make a decision, that's how we look at it. Once you make that decision, you have essentially collapsed all the possibilities down to one, right? Even though they are infinite, you are no longer looking for the infinite possibilities. You have settled on one, which can be a gift and a curse for us in many, many, many different ways. Because if we get so focused on that one idea, we may miss how life has given us opportunities and other possibilities that we weren't even thinking about because we limited ourselves when we collapsed those down. So life is not linear. Possibilities are endless. And we, every single day, collapse the possibilities down to one simple idea. And then a lot of times we like to hold on to that one simple idea as though it is, the truth of all truths, right? Think we're getting through this. Okay, we had 30 minutes. So we have a vision for ourselves. We have a plan for the life that we want to live. And in some aspects, which is why we all are here, we are not living that life. So then that leads us to the question, why are we failing? Listen, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear it, but I keep hearing, I get notifications, right? So I have my headphones plugged up, and every so often I keep hearing the notifications go off like blue, blue, but they're not even showing on the screen. So I have no idea what the notification is for. So it might be till Twitch things, but anyway. So then the question we have to ask ourselves is why or how or where are we failing to align with that vision of ourselves? Where have we collapsed the possibilities and kind of aligned ourselves with a timeline that is not reflective of who we are or who we want to be in life? You dig? when we start thinking about another concept, and I'm smiling that we want to start talking about phantom dings. They not phantom. They going off. Like I really hear them. Ding. So I just don't know where they coming from. So I know I hear them. They not phantom at all. Maybe they're psychic. Oh, I only got my light on today, man. I'm hating. There we go. Yeah, so maybe they're telling me that you was about to make that comment, so they'll hit me with the ding early. So it's funny. One of the main concepts that they started talking about in the video is the dominant vibrations, right? What is that? And your dominant vibrations essentially is the energy that you send out by being who you are. And that is all systems. I mean, your thought process, your nervous system, your identity, all those things, all these things come together to create your dominant vibrations, right? Not just necessarily the things that you're saying, but how you are actually living and how you are actually thinking and how you are actually processing life as you go forward. It's your dominant vibrations, not just your conscious thought patterns, but your unconscious thought patterns that rule 90% of your behavior. One of the beautiful things about this conscious shift is, oh, you can't hear the dings. Okay. Can you hear them through my microphone or like you hearing them on the stream? Clarify. Check. I'm sorry. Well, that just means we doing numbers, right? So I unplugged my headphones for that, so you still hearing the ding, right? But your dominant vibrations essentially is who you are. Your thought processes, your nervous systems, your identity, every system that you can think of. Oh wow, okay, well. Fantastic. Well, I'd rather if you're hearing them on stream, then it's all good. No love lost, right? Again. So the funny thing about that, when we start thinking about our dominant vibration, the dominant energy that we're sending out there, it is the synchronicity through your entire being. That is simply what it is. And the funny thing about it is, it's not necessarily a synchronicity. It's the functions of your entire being. Because as we're learning, much of our being isn't function synchronized with ourselves. How my homeboy said in men's group, in men's group, we was talking about the ego and the spirit. And he said the ego does not give a damn what is good for the spirit. He said, so whatever is good for your spirit is bad for your ego. And we talked about that a ton, about how the ego will lie to you. Because the ego is functioned to protect you from danger, not necessarily give you what is necessary for growth, healing, development, and peace. Right? It's not what that's not what the ego is supposed to do. That's not what its function is. So one of the things, the trap of the old timeline is this concept that they introduced, specifically why I keep saying your nervous system, because your nervous system functions just like everything else. So when something happens to you, your nervous system experiences that too. It experiences the event just like your eyes, your nose, your brain, the rest of your body, your spirit, your physical, your emotions. It experiences the event. Your nervous system is connected to that. And the wild thing about it is, one of the reasons that we are stuck in these old cycles, these old timelines, is this concept that was brought up in the last video about our nervous system is addicted to these behaviors. So then we have to start asking, what is my nervous system addicted to? One way it winds up showing up is through this concept where how we as human beings have a great tendency to confuse familiar with safe. Familiar with safe. We even give each other the advice that is in line with keeping us in the familiar because it's safer when we say things like, the devil you know is better than you don't know. That is a language that has our spirit confusing familiar with safe. Sometimes the devil you know, a lot of times the devil you know is not better than the devil you don't know. But your nervous system, the advice, the way you live your life aligns in a way that allows you to confuse familiar with safe. And it's easy for this to happen because it doesn't always just show up as, I know it's just pain and trauma. It really does show its face as logic and planning and experiences and things that we wind up calling our character traits. It shows up like that, right? It's guised as these things, these tools that we use to navigate our life. It hides right up under there where we think that we are planning for safety when essentially we are functioning in an old timeline because the fact that we are even worried about that lets you know that you're stuck. The way you're thinking is stuck. And it delays our future. It delays our healing. It delays any growth and development that we may plan to have. Because once your body recognizes the familiar as safe, it begins to recognize the unknown as a threat to your existence. If you don't know, it is scary for you to take the risk, the challenge that you know deep in your heart that is necessary for that next level of development. You are stuck in the trap of the old timeline where familiar is safe and unknown is perceived as a threat. It delays our future. Because essentially, what we have done is valued safety over progress. And remember, this place that we find safe is a place that is harming us, actively working against our best interests, actively breaking us down. But because we know this space so well, we've even learned tools to navigate and adapt and move around through this space that we value the illusion of safety that this space creates for us over the progress of our spirit, our emotions, our physical, our mental. All those things. Hey, Sherry. Glad you could join us. We talking trash a little bit. Well, not trash. We talking about this quantum shift thing based on quantum mechanics. And essentially what we're talking about is trying to make sure we have to go beyond affirmations. We have to go beyond vision boards. We have to go beyond thought processes. We have to go beyond words that we just talk. And we have to become the embodiment of what we want to be. We have to live, breathe, eat, and think down to a subconscious level, not just consciously. One of the things that we talk about with this quantum shift is how we are consciously claiming we want one thing and deep down inside preparing for another. Like we talked about last week, how we are consciously claiming we want abundance. But deep down inside, we are mentally preparing ourselves for lack. How we tell ourselves or we say, I'm ready for love. But deep down inside, we're still guarded to the point that the universe recognized that as solitude. Like those people we talked about that opted out of their life. They're no longer making decisions. They're just allowing life to happen to them. So that's why the quantum shift is tying to it. We're going to watch a little bit of the video in a minute too, but that's what it's coming about. One saying that came up that I think kind of fully explains this idea of our nervous system being addicted to a familiar, us registering as the unknown as a direct threat. It is this idea that the pain of the familiar is better than the uncertainty of the unknown. That is exactly why so many of us are in jobs that we don't like. We're eating in a way that we don't like. We're loving in a way that we don't like because we don't even know how to be who we want to be. Because we're in this space where we haven't started energetically incorporating all these things into ourselves, where we have not gotten beyond finding comfort in the pain of the familiar. Let's go. I'm laughing because we find comfort in the pain of the familiar. We use those old behaviors to keep feeding the old timeline. Again, disguised as logic, disguised as planning. Oh my God. Is the one that I see all the time and I'm laughing at because it's not funny. Because I see a lot of people and it's ironic because I tried to talk to one of the soul family about it. And it's one of the things that I really think a lot of people have began to use as a crutch for the absence of powerful and meaningful intimate relationships. And that's busy. People be filling their schedule up. And we miscategorize our growth when actually what we're being is just busy. We're being so busy that we don't have time to deal with, to think of, to address our fears, our things that aren't in alignment. We just stay busy and say, well, I'm too busy. I don't have the time. But you do have the time because you make the time. Sincerely. It's funny because I'm looking at another thing and it winds up that is how our think about the emotions that arise as you get close to one of your boundaries. And it doesn't even have to be dangerous. Just a boundary, a place you've never been. What kind of emotions that arise inside of you? A food you've never tried. Taking a risk you've never taken before. How we like to say it, stepping out on faith. What type of emotions arise when we get close to those boundaries? Most of the time, it's not confidence. And that's a perfect question that you ask yourself to see how you are sending mixed signals to the universe. Because you want more, you want better. And every single time you get close to one of your old timeline boundaries, you are quick to slide back into your comfort zone. Right? So we don't always recognize these things as resistance to us equalizing ourselves, calibrating ourselves, even out in ourselves. Procrastination. We like to think some of these things are character traits, but no. They are literally manifestations of your fears. They are the mixed signal that you are sending to the universe that is slowing down your progression, your future, your life. Procrastination is your ego keeping you in that boundary of what's safe. Overthinking. We've been talking about that. Like we said, that dude asked that question. If you're such an overthinker, why don't you ever overthink good things? Overthinking is your ego pushing you back into that boundary of that familiar pain that your spirit is begging you to leave. Overthinking is not a character flaw. It is not a character flaw. Emotional numbness is your ego trying to keep you in this box, trying to keep you safe in the space of the familiar pains. Hyper productivity. As I just mentioned, so busy that you no longer have the time to address your well-being in the ways that you know it's needed. And we like to think these things are character traits of ourselves, but they are not. Each of those things that we just named are survival techniques. So if you are doing any of those things, you are essentially stuck in that loop of a survival mindset. Right? Okay. It is the mixed signals that we are sending to the word, like the example that they gave in the video. We're gonna go into the next section, which is rewiring the observer. But like the example they gave, it was just the realistic. It was the punch in my face. It was that everybody got a plan till they get hit in the face, till they get punched in the nose. You know what I mean? When they said you claim you want abundance, but you cringe at the sight of a bill. Listen, and this is the God's honest truth. Knock on wood. Since the beginning of this transition, where I stopped working my old job as an executive director, and we talked about it initially when we started this, where I didn't even work for 6 months, right? This is the funny thing about that, and the proof of how we're stuck into these old cycles, right? I ain't had no money coming in, not a dime to my name. Well, I wasn't out there working for it, right? But for 6 months, with no money coming in, I was able to survive. To the point where I talked to people who I met in that 6-month time frame, and they had no idea, which is a problem within itself. But essentially, since then, I have not had to worry about finances. And that doesn't mean that it's raining money on me. What it does mean is the universe rewards me by being faithful, by living the life that I claim. So the abundance actually does come to me, right? So, and it'd be crazy. I still worry about surprise bills, right? That's the unknown fear that just kind of sits out there. Where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if it's going to be a surprise bill. But that's how I was even taught to think as a kid. You always got to prepare yourself for those unknown variables that just pop up. Well, when you live righteous, and you live in an alignment with who you're supposed to be, you got more than enough. I hadn't had to worry about finances, but I still will have that moment where I'm sitting here, and it's funny because I was on the phone with Tatiana, Soul Family, when I had one of these conflicts. And I said, I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe I need to buy me something. But in my mind, I'm thinking about what I got to spend my money on later, or what might come up. In my mind, I'm thinking a scarcity mindset. So it's very obvious. It became quickly clear. I'm like, damn. I'm out here sending mixed signals, right? I'm telling the universe I want abundance, but I still live with this scarcity mindset. That thing forced me to look at the love too, right? Not even just love, right? You know how we talk about relationships are reflective of who we are, our past, present, and future. Where we're going, who we are, or where we've been, right? And when I'm thinking about this, and we've been talking about taking dating seriously, so then I have to review and look at my love life like, hey, am I sending mixed signals? Am I saying that I'm open to love? But then there's some underlying message, an unconscious, a subconscious message that I'm not aware of, that I'm sending out to the universe. Right? So then when I ask that question, I have to look at the relationships that I have, the people that I'm connecting, the people that I'm meeting to. What are they showing me? And ironically, I've been meeting a lot of people who fears will show up around conversations, around interactions, around anything doing with intimacy, pair bonding, and love, right? And I do understand that some of that is to reflect where I have been. And it does give me a way to be able to, like, man, I remember I used to be like that too. Guys, in these words, my fear as protection. Guys, and my fears as, well, most women, in statements like that, right? And then I really have to think, maybe there is a piece of me somewhere that isn't fully ready. And when I think about that, I know that ain't my issue. I'm tripping. I know that's not my issue. But I really need to process, what are these relationships? What mixed messages, mixed signals are I'm singing? I'm thinking about mixed messages because it's this song by Big Crit. And I talk about it all the time. I got a whole lot of mixed messages in my song. That's my Jones. So anyway, since we have all these things that we're not necessarily aware of, I think we're going to move on to the next section. And we want to start talking about, how do we rewire the observer, which is us. We are the observers. Let me get my life together. Got a whole lot of mixed messages in my song. Am I wrong? I feel this way. A revolutionary. I know I'm free. I got me a lover, but I still wanna cheat. I wanna be safe, but it's the police. Don't wanna be here, but I'm too scared to leave. So I'm too scared to leave. I know that's right. Perfect song about the functions, how we get stuck in our old timeline. Doo-doo-doo. Is that what we're doing? Yes. Boo-doo-boo. So if you are following on with us, we are going to watch, what is it? We're on minute 12. And we'll probably watch about 5 minutes of this video. And as we're watching the video, make sure you take some notes. Start thinking about what you are hearing that resonates with you. That makes you sit back and start thinking about, am I sending mixed messages too? All right, family. Let's see.
Your system remains armored against vulnerability, and the field responds to your dominant state, not your conscious intentions. The trap is so subtle that most people never recognize it. They keep chasing external solutions, thinking that if they just change their environment, their job, their partner, or their financial situation, the inner shift will finally happen. But it never does, because the shift doesn't start outside. It starts inside.
How many times have you thought
by rewiring the
all
observer,
you needed was a new job?
by changing the internal frequency that collapses the wave of reality itself. The version of you that lives in the new timeline is not waiting for external circumstances to shift. That version already exists in the quantum field, vibrating right now at a frequency you have yet to match. And as long as you remain entangled with the old version of yourself, wired to fear, lack, and doubt, the new timeline cannot stabilize. This is why people loop. This is why you see the same emotional patterns play out even after major life changes. Because the field reflects your dominant vibration, not your temporary efforts. Breaking this cycle isn't about willpower. It's about coherence. It's about bringing your nervous system, your emotional body, your beliefs, and your identity into alignment with the version of you who already lives the life you desire. And coherence cannot be faked. It must be embodied. This is where most people struggle, not because they don't want it, but because they don't yet know how to fully become it.
There we go.
The quantum field is not a cosmic vending machine that responds to your wishes. It is not waiting for you to visualize harder, to chant louder, or to stack more vision boards on your wall. The field doesn't care how desperately you want change. It isn't moved by your frustration or your longing. What it responds to is your frequency, the total vibrational state you are broadcasting with every breath, every thought, every feeling, every action. This is where most teachings on manifestation collapse, because they focus almost entirely on conscious desire while ignoring the far more powerful signal of your embodied state. You can say all the right words, repeat affirmations thousands of times, and declare your intentions every morning. But if your nervous system contracts with anxiety, when you look at your bank account, the field registers that contraction. You might visualize love.
How many times you
but if your heart
cringed
remains closed,
looking at your bank account,
armored by
knowing that
past
money getting a
wounds,
little low?
the field receives isolation, not connection. You can talk about confidence all day long, but if your breath is shallow, your posture is slouched, and your gut is tight with fear, the field mirrors insecurity. The universe doesn't respond to what you're saying. It responds to what you are being. Frequency is not a metaphor. It's not a poetic way of describing mood. It's a literal energetic state, measurable, broadcasted, and received by the quantum field in every moment. Every thought you think generates a chemical reaction. Every emotion you feel produces a hormonal cascade. These biochemical reactions influence your heart rate, your breathing patterns, your muscle tension, your brainwave activity. All of it creates a coherent or incoherent signal that radiates into the field. This is the frequency you are transmitting moment by moment. Most people live in chronic incoherence. Their conscious mind desires change, but their subconscious continues broadcasting fear. Their thoughts seek abundance, but their body braces for lack. Their words declare love, but their heart shields against vulnerability. This energetic contradiction creates noise in the signal, preventing the collapse of the new timeline. The field doesn't punish incoherence. It simply reflects it. The mirror is neutral. It always returns to you the dominant vibration you carry. The problem is not that you're failing to manifest. The problem is that you're manifesting with a split signal, and the dominant signal always wins. Your conscious mind might represent 5% of your cognitive activity, but your subconscious controls 95% of
My
your
bad,
behaviors,
family. I could have been did
emotions,
this.
and physiological responses.
Forgive me.
This is why intellectual understanding is never enough. You can know all the theories. You can explain quantum mechanics. You can talk endlessly about vibration and alignment. But knowing doesn't shift the signal. Only embodiment does. Desire without embodiment reinforces the absence of what you seek. The stronger your desire, if untethered from alignment, the more you amplify the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You look at your vision board and feel frustrated because you don't yet have what you're seeing. That frustration becomes part of your signal. You declare your goals but carry hidden doubts about your ability to achieve them. Those doubts vibrate louder than your declarations. The field is not deceived by words. It reads your coherence. This is why so many people feel trapped in cycles of effort without results. They chase the next technique, the next seminar, the next visualization exercise, hoping that one more tool will finally break them through. But each tool becomes another layer of striving, another signal of not yet being. The harder you chase, the more you reinforce the distance. The field reflects your being, not your striving. True manifestation, true quantum shift, is not about summoning outcomes. It's about becoming the version of you who naturally lives those outcomes. That version does not need to beg, plead, or bargain. That version already exists, vibrating in coherence with the timeline you seek. The work is not in convincing the universe to give it to you. The work is in tuning yourself to match it. This is why embodiment is everything. Embodiment means your thoughts, emotions, body, and actions are all humming in coherence with the state you desire. When you think abundance and your body relaxes into trust, when you declare love and your heart opens with vulnerability, when you envision success and your posture reflects confidence, that's embodiment. That's coherence. And when coherence stabilizes, the field collapses the matching timeline into form. You are not summoning a distant reality. You are aligning with one that already exists. The version of you who lives your desired life is not waiting in the future. They are vibrating right now in the quantum field. Your job is not to chase them. Your job is to become them. And when you do, reality has no choice but to shift.
I dig. All right, family. We're going to stop right there. We'll talk about some more stuff next week. Yeah, that thing is wild. There was a couple of things I think. Of course, we'll have some conversations next week. But I think one of the main points of that section right there is try to get us to understand how there's definitely a difference between willpower and this word that they introduced, coherence. And understanding frequency and the energy vibrations that we are sending out into the world. And I definitely like this idea of manifestation as being limited to just conscious desires. And low key, it is. That's why. That's why I've always been a little careful about using manifestations as much as ever. Just somewhere on a subconscious level, I guess I kind of knew that it just kind of focused on conscious desires. The same thing as vision boards and things like that. You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why we made that list of what we want our rich life to look like. And we add to that list as we go forward. We learn, we heal, we add to that list. But then the second list is just as important, because that second list is, who do we have to be? What behaviors, thoughts, mannerisms, how our perspectives, what other tools do I need to become the person that can live this rich life? And it kind of solidified that by tying this into what we recognized not a couple of weeks ago, the multiple versions of ourselves that exist in the present. We know there's a sad version of ourselves. There's a happy version of ourselves. There's a confident version of ourselves. There's many different versions of ourselves that exist right now in the present. As a matter of fact, you can look at your old self and be amazed. You're like, just 2 weeks ago, I was doing something very differently. Right? So I think that's awesome. And I definitely, something that kind of resonated with my spirit that he said is when he said, when you think abundance and your body moves into trust. I think that's a great correlation that we never have thought about up until this point on how much this idea of abundance requires the tool of trust, right? And that's a great thing because, we're working on that, learning to trust ourselves, trust our intuition, trust our spirit, trust the things that we know are needed for our bodies, right? Oh man, we did a great time. I thought we was gonna go over a little bit more than we did, but we didn't really go over. So that's fantastic. Family, I appreciate you as always. If you got some time, I did a little repotting. I repotted Liberty's brother and a couple other brothers. I mean, not a couple other brothers. One more pot, one brother. And one more plant. I keep saying pot, but it's plants, not pots. Plants, pots, plants. But anyway, family, I appreciate you for your time. and really start taking some time to start thinking about this idea of rewiring the observer, which is you. Bring into the consciousness the mixed signals that you are sending out to the universe. Really take some time and think about the ways that you have confused familiar with safe. What is preventing you from taking that risk? Why is the unknown perceived as such a threat? And are you addicted to these fears that arise every time you get close to one of those familiar boundaries? So next week we will continue this discussion with the quantum shift. We'll talk a little bit about what we just watched, the rewiring of the observer. And then I think we will move into, what do they say? The observer effect, how your subconscious collapses reality. How do we take all these unlimited possibilities and collapse them down to one that becomes our reality, right? So I hope that we can see you next Thursday. Not next Thursday, but this Thursday coming for book club. If you're new here, you don't know what book club is. Book club is a spinoff of our Tuesday night show. It allows us to reconnect or speak to that child in us by having someone read to us, because what kid don't like being read to? Most of them do, right? They'll make you read a book, read a book, read a book. They'll come to you with 5 books in their hand just so you can read them all. So I hope to see you Thursday, where we continue reading Makes Me Want to Holler. And if you can't make it Thursday, I hope to see you back here Tuesday, where we can continue our discussion on this quantum shift and rewiring the observer and how our subconscious collapses the possibilities into one reality. I appreciate you, family. Gratitude, peace, and blessings. Until Thursday. Peace.